So today we're going to look at one very important aspect of BW, which is the REST JSON plugin. Okay, the REST and JSON. So what is the need of this REST and JSON is basically, so if you look at this palette, basically the REST and JSON, what does this palette do is, it will help you invoke multiple REST APIs. Okay, so as we discussed about REST APIs, right, what are REST APIs and how to create a REST API inside BW. We also saw how to invoke a SOAP service from BW, but we did not see how to invoke a REST service from BW. Right? That is one important thing I just noticed. So we're going to do that today. So invoking a REST service from BW is basically where there is already a REST service present, and in case of REST services, what happens is you generally don't get any WSDL or anything. Right? There is a simple URL and an API path which you have. That API you need to invoke. That's all. Right? That there is not anything very complex which you have. Just a very simple API which you have, and you need to invoke that API. Now what we will do is, we will create a simple REST API and we will expose it, and then we will try to invoke that REST API from our process. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Are we clear what we are going to do now?
Yes.
Now let us create a new project.
So do we have to write in JSON format only for this?
Yeah, REST to JSON will be JSON format only. It will automatically convert into REST and JSON and all those. So as I told you, so creating this click here. And let me create a REST service, simple REST service I'm going to create now. So I'll say hello world. Okay, so I'm going to do a post, that is fine. Nothing request, and just response one string, that's it. So I'll just rename this to simple REST service. I'm not creating anything very complex, just a simple request and response. So in the response, what I'm going to say, okay, done. So my REST service is here, but I need to create the bindings, etc. Let's do that here. As a binding, I have to create it. That's good. So just change this dedicated resource. I'm going to make this a literal value. Let's say localhost, run it on port number 97WK. Okay, that's good. Now let me create another BW process. For invoke, I'm going to do using a file poller. Okay, so that I can trigger it at my will. And then now what I'm going to show you here is basically the REST to JSON. Okay, so let me show you here. Three palettes here basically which you see: invoke REST API, parse JSON, and render JSON. So parse JSON, if you see, it will convert your JSON into an XML. Okay, and render JSON will basically convert your XML into a JSON. Okay, that is the whole point of this parse JSON and render JSON. So why do we use this? Is because in most of the times your activities are what? You will always use XML everywhere, right? You will use XML everywhere, and you need to have that this thing. So you want to convert that into a JSON basically. Okay, simple JSON. You need to convert that into a simple JSON. That is the reason why you will use parse JSON, and then again render JSON is when you are getting a JSON response, you want to convert that one, right? So what we will do is we'll first use render JSON. Okay.
This palette is actually changed, right? XML to not in this version, in the earlier versions.
In earlier version, it used to be there. The same palette used to be there, but this was a paid palette in earlier version.
There was something I did it actually. XML to other, I don't remember that actually. To the other format, it used to change.
So now I'm just creating a simple XML which will simple XSD, which is basically the request. Okay, right? I know that it doesn't matter, but just to show you, right? So this is going to be my input element where I have the request, the input. So input, it is taking an XML. See, Input, it's taking an XML. Okay, I'm just going to say in hello, and output, it is going to give out a JSON string, simple JSON string. Okay, which doesn't contain any schema and nothing. It will contain, it will be a simple JSON string. Okay, and now let us take a look here, a file folder. Let us see. So basically here in the render JSON, you will basically give some other XML schema and things like that. Okay, you will give some XML schema, you will give something which will be your process will contain very complex XML and things like that. Okay, but here I just have a simple one, that's why I'm just showing you. Now after the render JSON, what you will do is you will call the REST API. You will say invoke REST API. Okay, you will say invoke REST API. Now from here I will push the. Okay, so invoke REST API, you will see multiple parameters here. First is the client resource. It will create a client resource to which it has to connect to HTTP, right? It will create the HTTP resource and everything. Resource path, which is very important. Okay, what is the resource path? Resource path is slash, in our case it is this one. See here, slash hello world. That is the resource path, right? So we created that resource path, if you remember. Slash HTTP method we are calling a post, right? Request type is JSON, you can say JSON XML. Here also you can say response type is JSON XML. So then in the advanced tab, you don't have much, you just have response type and things like that. In the input now, you will see what is the different details that they require. So all your content will go into the ASCII content. It will go to the ASCII content. That's it. So if you go to the ASCII content, your entire JSON string. Are you with me till now? Message body.
A little bit confusing. What is this asking?
ASCII content is nothing but the message body. That's all. The
Okay.
ASCII content is nothing but whatever message body you want to send to that REST server. Okay, in this case, I want to send an enter JSON output. That's it.
Okay.
I want to send a simple JSON string, right? Now, this invoke REST API is done. We'll configure the HTTP client resource later. Now I have the parse JSON. Okay. So now what I will do, I'm converting the response also into an XML here inside BW. Okay. I'm converting the response also into a BW this thing. So I have all this XSD and everything, schematic XSD, output editor. I'm going to just say output editor, go to here, create a new schema. Okay. And you say output element, and inside that you say, I'm going to have a response. Fine. I have my response here. Done. Click on this. Yeah. Since I have only one schema, in your case, you might have very complex schema structure and everything. And now the invoke REST API output, message body. This is the ASCII content, right? So your output should be given to the JSON string. That JSON string will be automatically converted into that XML. Are you able to understand here with me?
Yes.
Good stuff. So I have my path JSON. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write, I'm going to log basically. I'm going to do a simple log. So the message that I'm going to give in the log is whatever the response, the XML response that I'm getting right here. Okay. Done. So this is done. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to configure the client resource. That is the most important thing, right? So I will click outside here somewhere. I'll click outside somewhere here, the process property. This is the client resource. Now I will go configure, create a new shared resource. Yeah. And the port was 9700 where my actual process is running. So you are able to, so you should find the difference between connection resource and client resource. Connection is when you are a server. Okay. And client is when you are the client. You are invoking someone. Are you getting my point, Ravana?
Yes. Okay.
So this is 9700, I'm putting the port and localhost default. Done. So this is all created now. Now let's take a look over this error. So this client resource is basically your HTTP and SOAP. So you should select HTTP and REST. Okay. There are two
Okay.
things. When you are invoking HTTP SOAP, that time also you will create the client records. Of course, it's an HTTP. Now, since you are calling HTTP and REST, you have to select this one. Apache HTTP component supported by HTTP and REST. Fine. We are all sorted now.
Yes.
Okay. So now we are going to start the REST service. Okay. So I'm going to do a always create your REST services with JSON. Don't use XML. It's very lightweight. REST services are meant to be lightweight. Why to use such a hard thing? So there we are. The application is started. So let's see. Let it do its stuff and then we'll see. Okay, cool. So yes, so it has done a render JSON and invoke REST API it is able to do. So let's see. So invoke REST API it is able to do. So the message body that it is trying to send is a rec. So see here, basically what I wanted to show you is in the render JSON we gave an XML, right? If you remember. So we gave an XML here and the content. So this is the input. You see here, input element. This is the XML that we have given. That has been converted into a JSON, rec hello, and into a JSON. This is the JSON, right? Simple JSON. And invoke REST API. The message body input is hello and output is, you see, 200 OK. And the message output is basically hello world, right? Now, the parse JSON has got faulted because it is not able to comply with the XML structure basically. That is why it is not able to work, but that's fine. We can ignore that. So basically, since the JSON structure is like this, we have to have a response and all those things we need to have. That is why it's not able to do that. But this is the ultimate thing that I'm trying to make you understand. So render JSON is converting the XML into a JSON, okay, and it is posting it to the REST API. It is able to invoke the REST API. So our REST API is also running here, if you see. So our REST API is also running here. So I could go to this and yeah. So this is the REST API that has got invoked, post out. It has responded back with the hello world, and the output is we are able to capture here and we are able to pass. Are you able to understand what we are doing here? Any doubts?
No. This render XML, render JSON. Can you just open that one?
Yeah.
And, is it taking the XML here?
Input is going. Input I am giving an XML here. Okay, because input I have directly mapped the schema element. Okay, I have directly given the value to the schema element, which is hello. Okay, the value which I have given is basically here. So do you see here the input element? This is an XML element. Request hello. Right, it's getting converted into a JSON here as rec within quotes hello. I mean basically the XML. Right. So what you have to do is basically you try to implement this. Okay. You try to create your own REST service just like we did, adding two numbers and things like that, and then the output also you try to have. Okay, basically the output what you should do is what you should do is in the post out that we configured the HTTP response, right? We configured the HTTP response. That HTTP response you give the same schema as your here as the parse. So parse whatever schema you want to look you want to give in the output editor. The same schema you give in the response of this one. When you are creating the response, copy paste is required. Then it will not throw you an error. Okay. So try to do this in your local and let me know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Chalo then. See you on Monday. Okay. Probably by next week we will close the train. Okay. I'm almost done. So just some few balance training and then we will look at admin.
Thank you.
Okay. Chalo then. Yeah. Okay, sir. Bye-bye.